Hello everyone, Jason Leia back here again, and today we're going to be talking about the Red Ribbon Army Saga of the original Dragon Ball. Now I haven't done a Dragon Ball review for quite a while, and that's for a number of reasons. For one, there are just so many movies and shows I want to watch, and after watching so much Dragon Ball at once, I felt like I needed to take a little bit of a break from that and watch some other stuff. So I paused on that for a bit, and now I'm back to it. I just finished the Red Ribbon Army Saga, and what are my thoughts on this saga? Well, for one, I think it is a very enjoyable saga. However, after coming out of the Great World Martial Arts Tournament Saga, I think this is a bit of a step down, mostly due to the filler. Now, I have no problems with filler being in this show as long as it's entertaining and it portrays our characters very well. Here, I felt like the filler detracted from the story, most notably at the end of the saga, and I'll get into why. Now, how it started off with Goku trying to find his grandpa's 4-star ball is pretty nice motivation for a simple adventure. We got the Pilaf gang also on the search for these balls, so it's like a little bit of a return to that. And then we get the ominous threat of the Red Ribbon Army, and then we see them in full swing as they try to get the Dragon Balls from the Pilaf gang. And we understand that this is a much bigger threat than just a few weirdos that also want the ball. These are really more dangerous, more heartless and ruthless, and it builds up the antagonistic threat very well, and I like that. That's the one bit of filler that I really enjoyed. However, later on, I'll just save it till the end, because later on we just get a bunch of army members and generals, and we don't get like a real good look at who the leader of the Red Ribbon Army is. For a while we're just building him up, and then we see him much later in the middle of the arc, and we understand a little bit more about the threat he poses and the power he has, and it creates a lot of tension. And all these generals also by his side are also just as ruthless. Now, with each general is like a different act. There's this one general in this snowy area that Goku has to defeat through the tower. And then there's this blonde general who is very pretty that Goku has to also defeat, as he is also trying to chase down all the Dragon Balls. And then we get to the final boss. It's like a video game in that sort of way, the way this saga is structured. And it creates a lot of neat scenarios for Goku to find himself challenged, as well as trying to improve himself and train quite a bit. And each of these villains are very memorable in their own way. They are very charismatic, they are ruthless, and in some ways it's planting the seeds of a more serious story later on. And we'll get into that story when we get to it, trust me. However, this creates a bit of repetition within the story, as Goku goes through the same kind of story. He finds a general, he meets a few people along the way that are new and he becomes friends with, defeats the general, then goes on to the next place, meets a few new people he's friends with now, and then defeats that other general, so on and so forth. The structure is kind of the same all throughout, just told a little bit differently. However, in the last section of the saga, when someone important bites the dust, it creates a lot of conflict with Goku. And now he's not just after the 4-star ball. He is now having to feel responsible for someone else, mostly due to him just being there. And he feels that responsibility and is planting the seeds of his maturity. And I love that, how it's basically developing the character Goku in that sense, feeling that sense of responsibility instead of that childlike wonder that we see. And not like that persona is gone. He still acts like a child who wants to have a lot of fun and just wants to have a lot of cool action scenes to be a part of. but still in his mind, his maturity of having to feel responsible for someone else's death makes him a lot more serious and a little bit more intimidating. And the way he fights here is not like him just having fun in a fight scene. He is trying to accomplish a goal and is not there to waste any time. And that's planting the seeds for a more mature Goku that we will see later on in Z. So in that aspect of the saga, I really liked how it developed Goku a tiny bit in that regard. However, the twist with the Red Ribbon Army in the end and how it kind of is a bait and switch was a little bit off to me and did not really completely work, because we were building up so much of Commander Red and having his assistant having to be the final boss just felt a little bit cheap to me. And because I didn't really get connected with that assistant, I had no urge to see him and Goku fight. I would have much rather have seen Commander Red and Goku fight, because those two heads building up to that climactic battle, as he's the one pulling all the strings behind the scenes, would have worked very well and would have been a lot more satisfying, at least in my opinion. However, the fight is still a bit of fun. It's just missing that emotional weight that I felt like the rest of the finale had going for it. And Goku's siege on the Red Ribbon Army base is one of the highlights for me. Very action-packed, very intense, very fun. This is what Dragon Ball Z was trying to accomplish. This is like the earlier stages of that, when the fights are a lot more serious and dire. And we're going to see a little bit more of that later on in the series, as this is still a bit more not child friendly due to Master Roshi, obviously, but it is not as tonally dark as the next portion of the series. It's just planting the seeds of a much larger story that's going to be explored later on. So overall, despite a few gripes with the storytelling and the way the final act concluded, and also a lot of filler in that aspect with the Bulma, Master Roshi and everyone trying to help Goku at his aid, it did not feel necessary, and they did not really contribute much to the plot apart from bickering with each other. But overall, this was still a pretty entertaining saga that I was thoroughly invested in. I just felt like it could have been a whole lot tighter and would have had much better pacing, and would have done with a few rewrites here and there to make the ending a little bit more satisfying. Overall, I'm going to give the Red Ribbon Army Saga a B. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.